Does morality make sense without God? It's a curious feature of our secular culture, aka the culture, that it's rejected God, has rejected biblical morality, more or less across the board, and yet it routinely uses language that's drawn from the biblical tradition. It's very moralistic. We read of the evil of sexism, the evils of racism and intolerance and homophobia and all the isms that the elites throw at us as being intrinsically evil somehow. Even though there's no God, this retention of spiritual language using terms like evil, it's interesting. It's as though we can't shed what we really know deep down inside. Dr. Jay Brzezinski has a book called What We Can't Not Know. It basically comes down to this. There is a law imposed on us. It's the inner law, and it doesn't come from us. And it inclines us to do good and to shun evil. And there's a remarkable amount of unanimity among cultures, Jewish, Christian, pre-Judaic, the Egyptians, Confucians, Mayans, Incas, Mesopotamians. If you read C.S. Lewis's book, The Abolition of Man, there's a great appendix in which he describes what he calls the Tao, or the universal law of morality. You don't find cultures handing out medals and giving parades for cowards, or people who are treasonous for their countries, or commit incest, or cheat and lie and so on and steal. So even though there are some particular differences, in the main, there's remarkable unanimity in every culture that has a written history. Where does this law come from? Cardinal Newman constructed a whole argument for God's existence based on the voice of conscience, because it has a kind of imperious authority to it. It explains why criminals who would never get caught turn themselves in. Why would they do that? Unless they had this inner voice, this inner sanctum or conscience, this judgment of right and wrong. See, on the atheist worldview, if you're a strict Darwinian, there would be nothing wrong for me to go up to the atheists, Darwinians' family and just bash their brains in with a bat. Perish the thought. However, if there's no God, as Dostoevsky said, anything's permissible. So, if there's no God at the end of life to whom we're responsible for our good acts and bad, if there's no ultimate justice or punishment or reward for the good things or the bad things we do, then all bets are off. The concept itself of good or bad, right and wrong, transcends matter. So that's what theists mean by saying you can't be good without God. Not that you can't be an atheist and still be a good person. We all know kind atheists who would never commit evil acts like torturing kittens or putting pineapple on pizza. But still, the very concept of right and wrong, good and evil, do not fit in the Darwinian materialist worldview, because that worldview is stuck in the material order, where non-material concepts, ideas, as it were, are not permissible because they can't be discerned under a microscope. You can't access them with your senses. This is why it's great to be a classical realist in the tradition of Aristotle and St. Thomas Aquinas, because there's more than one way to access truth. And we can't get there by limiting reality to what we can see, touch, taste, and smell. I'm Patrick Coffin. Stick around, subscribe, give your comments below. I have a weekly podcast, The Patrick Coffin Show. It uploads every Tuesday morning. The sweet spot is faith and culture, and I interview influencers. I also run a membership site called CoffinNation.com with members in 5 countries and growing like weeds. Check that out, CoffinNation.com. The links are below, and in the meantime, be a saint. What else is there?